Happy Thursday night, everybody. And you guys know what that means. It is this week's edition of the Spread Option Podcast here on the CFB Nation channel. With me, as always, my guy, Vince. I'm your host, Trevor Trowbridge, and we are here to talk another slate of awesome college football games this weekend. Now, like we do every single week, we're going to kick off today's show by talking about how last week went. Some good, some And then, of course, we're going to dive into the countdown. We're previewing 4 games, talking the big 3, 2 props, 1 keep away. And then, as always, our favorite segment, even though after the recap from this past week, I don't know how much longer it's going to be my favorite. We're talking locks of the week and dogs of the week. But Vince, we are back at it again, my man. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. It was a rough week for both of us when it comes to locks and dogs, but we'll get to that part. It wasn't great, man. It wasn't great, but that's what happens this time of year. We don't have as big as spreads, and we know a little bit more about these teams, and so it makes it a little bit more complicated because the line. See, not only are we learning about these teams, Trev, Vegas is learning about these teams as well. And where we were able to kind of steal some money early on in the season, that is not really the case moving forward. So, yeah, we still are above 500 on our props, and we're in the neighborhood of 500 on our locks, but above 500 on dogs. So, like those kinds of things, we're still in the black. We're still doing well. But again, the life of a bettor, man. Like you're gonna lose some coin every now and again.
We got to get some spread option t-shirts that just says the life of a bettor.
Seriously.
We honestly need to do that. Yeah. Well, we'll add it to the to-do list.
Noted. Yeah, yep. Exactly.
We'll pass it up the ladder. We'll see what happens. You guys know how that goes. Bunch of corporate jargon. I'll put some time in the boss's calendar. So we'll see. We'll see if we get that done. But without further ado, let's kick this thing off. Part 1, we're talking hit or miss. We previewed 4 games last week. And the first one that we talked about was Ole Miss on the road at Oklahoma. Rebels pulled out a win, big fashion. This is a huge win for Lane Kiffin and the Rebels. But the 2 player props that we talked about, Quan Lacey, starting running back for the Ole Miss Rebels, set to take him on an anytime touchdown, which hit. He actually ended up scoring 2 on the day. That guy, he is slowly working his way up the ranks of being one of the better running backs in the SEC, Vince. People aren't talking about it enough, but that guy scores every single week.
Yeah, I mean, he scored 2. We only need him to hit 1, and he hit 2. So, yeah, this is going to be somebody we'll probably look at later on in the season, I would imagine. But he definitely hit for us this past week.
He sure did. Next one that we talked about, like Vince said, we're have to getting a little bit more creative with what we're doing here from a betting standpoint, because it's not just as easy to say, hey, take this over, take this over. As fun as it is rooting for some people, sometimes numbers don't lie. And this week in the Oklahoma game, they didn't. John Mateer, we said to take his under at 235.5 passing yards. That ended up hitting. He ended the day with 223 passing yards. Unfortunately, that was a factor in the Sooners not being able to pull out the W last Saturday, but it's good if you put it in a parlay.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So John Mateer, John Mateer doing his thing, or not doing his thing as the case may be, but still won you some money.
Yep, sure did. Sure did. Next game we talked about, Alabama Crimson Tide. They avoided an upset on the road against South Carolina. One of the reasons why this game was so close, we talked about running back Jam Miller, over 58.5 rushing yards. And look, man, that missed. And I wish I could lie to you guys and say it was close, and it wasn't. He finished the afternoon with 10 carries for 26 yards. Now, I don't know how you are with some of this stuff, Vince. How I am is I kind of start adding people to a list of like just players to not bet on. And Alabama running backs are slowly working their way up the ranks on that list for me, because they just don't really care to run the football this year, which is a weird thing to say about Alabama. But
right,
them's be the times, I guess. And Jam Miller has not been able to get going so far this year. But one thing that did hit for us, quarterback Ty Simpson, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Look, I'm going to say this right now. If Vegas continues putting the line here, I would just hammer that every single week. Ty Simpson has had at least 2 passing touchdowns in every game this season. Every single one.
Yeah, and like you said, they're going away from the run game, and so the pass game is what they're, going towards. If you're not running the ball, then you're throwing the ball, and they're putting all their eggs in the Ty Simpson basket.
They are. It's absolutely crazy that Vegas hasn't moved the line. Every single week it's over under 1.5. And I looked at it again Well, not this week. I will look at it again next week when they play LSU. But he's had 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2. I'm amazed they haven't shifted the line yet. But I'm going to continue to reap the benefits of it until they don't.
You know it.
So not too upset about that one.
Mm.
Next game, the Mizzou Tigers on the road against the Fighting Clark Lees at Vanderbilt. Now, the first player prop we talked about unfortunately didn't hit. This had nothing to do with performance. Bo Prabula had a really bad ankle injury. We talked about taking his over in rushing yards. He set at 28.5 and it missed. He finished with 10. He injured his ankle down in the red zone, looked bad. I think he's out for the rest of the season, which is unfortunate. So, hoping for a speedy recovery for Mr. Prabula, but unfortunately, the life of a better Vince. Vegas doesn't really care if people get hurt. They just know
they
the
don't.
bet didn't hit.
No, they don't. They don't care at all. Unfortunately,
no.
If you can find a betting site that if a guy gets hurt, then the bet is like null and void, then you win. Congratulations to you, but that is not how that works.
Unfortunately not. One of the things that did work for us, though, in the Mizzou-Vandy game, we talked about taking Diego Pavia's under in passing yards. His line was set at 217.5, and he had yet to go for over 200 yards against any Power 4 team that Vanderbilt had played so far this season. That trend is continuing, and he finished against Missouri with 129 passing yards. Didn't stop him from winning, but 129 passing yards. That is not a lot.
And yet they continue to win, which is really amazing when you think about it, because usually teams that are going to be winning as much as Vanderbilt is winning, they have a quarterback who's kind of leading the way. And he is leading the way from a leadership standpoint, from a playmaking standpoint, and things like that, but not from your normal passing yards standpoint. But hey, nobody at Vanderbilt's complaining right now.
Nope. It's almost, Vince, it's almost as impressive is covering a football team that doesn't throw their first passing touchdown of the season until week 4 and plays for the national championship. That would also be pretty impressive. Some might say. Next game that we talked about, last game that we talked about last week, Texas A&M Aggies on the road against the LSU Tigers inside of Death Valley. A&M ended up coming away with the win, their first win on the road in Baton Rouge since 1994, Vince. So how about that?
Woo!
Mike Elko able to get it done. We love to see it. We love to see it. Some people in Baton Rouge don't, but we do. First player prop that we talked about, Marcel Reed, and I cannot believe his line was set at this. His over-under for rushing yards was set at 31.5, Vince. How'd Marcel Reed end up doing that night?
I don't know. He went triple digits, I do believe, because
sure
as you mentioned in some previous shows, death taxes and a running quarterback against LSU always bet the over. And yeah, he cleared the over. He had 3 times as much as he needed.
Yep, sure did. Finished with 108 yards. He absolutely killed it. Now, the other rushing yard prop that we talked about was Caden Durham, the starting running back for LSU, who's actually been kind of an all-reliable for us on this show throughout the season. But unfortunately, his over didn't hit. We said to take his over rushing yards at 50.5, and it missed. He finished with 36 yards, but I think he did that on 5 carries. So, unfortunately for them, they weren't doing a whole lot of running the football once they got down by a large margin. So that unfortunately did not hit.
Right. Yeah, well, that's okay. Now to get to the depressing part of the show with our locks of the week. And our locks of the week did not do very well this week. We both lost our lock of the week. I'll let you go first, and then I'll bring up the rear with some more negativity.
Vince, I was so confident in this lock of the week because last week we were talking, I was like, yo, journey back to 500. I'm getting there. Let's go. And here's why I felt so confident. I had the Virginia Cavaliers minus 10.5 on the road against North Carolina, and that missed. Apparently, last week was the week that Virginia didn't feel like having a very good offense. They still won the game, but they won 17-16 in overtime, Vince, against North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina is just not North Carolina. They're an enigma surrounded by a bunch of question marks. Basically, I don't know what you're going to get from North Carolina day in and day out. And if you're a Notre Dame fan, then you would have loved to see North Carolina pull out that overtime victory. But they went for 2 in the first overtime. I don't think the memo got to the head coach that you don't have to go for 2 in the first overtime. But hey, I guess it is what it is. It's his first year coaching in college, so maybe he didn't brush up on the rules. Not exactly sure. But my lock of the week was Illinois plus 3.5 against Washington. And that one missed because the good old Fighting Illini, which I didn't believe in the beginning of the season, and they have been about as up and down of a football team as you can possibly be. But they went out and they got absolutely spanked by Washington, 42-25. So the 3.5 points that I was getting did not clear on this one because they lost by almost 20. So thank you very much, Fighting Illini. We don't have to talk about you for the rest of the season now because your season is over.
They're on the list. They're on the list now. Poor Fighting Illini. Poor Sean Davis.
Man, I'm telling you that Illinois, such promise going into this year, and it just just not good.
Well, I wish I could tell you guys that it's going to get better from here, but it doesn't. Dogs of the week. Mine, UCLA. I said my dog of the week was UCLA plus 25.5 against Indiana. And no, this wasn't because I thought that UCLA was going to pull off the upset. They had just been riding a hot streak, and I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. And unfortunately, it was not even close. Actually, so not even close. In fact, that I missed it by 24 points, Vince. Can you believe that?
Almost double.
Yeah. Plus 25.5, and I missed it by almost double.
Mm-hmm.
That's rough. Cinderella story of the Bruins died in Bloomington, Indiana, unfortunately, with my hopes of also winning the dog of the week. So that one missed for me as well.
Yeah, and I said it on last week's show. This was a game that I actually had circled as well for my dog of the week. And I was upset that you took it before me. And then obviously it lost by a lot. And it still would have lost by a lot if I had taken it. Because my dog of the week was I felt like the good old Stanford Cardinal trees were going to be able to keep it within 30 against Miami. And Miami had other plans on this one. And when I turned on the game at the end of the second quarter, like with a few minutes left in the second quarter, it's 14-7. It's 14-7, Trev. And I was like, oh, and it was pouring rain. 14-7, pouring rain. I'm like, this is great. They're going to keep it inside 30. Like my dog of the week, this is where we are. This is great. I don't even have to watch this game. Just check this box. Like we're good to go. Next thing I know, I check the final score and it's 42-7. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? So Miami got me again, and I should never trust a tree because Stanford did not do me any favors on this one. So Stanford, you're on my list. Illinois, you're on my list. I will never go to them again this season.
Heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Vince doesn't trust trees. Not a fan of the Lorax. That's none of my business. But that's what I've been hearing.
The trees. I do not.
There's been some whispers. Well, all right, folks. Quick recap of the record here for player props or just props in general. We're sitting at an overall record of 40-36, which is a slight uptick from last week of 35-33. Hoping to keep that going this week with some of the games that we're talking about. Vince and I, unfortunately, both dropped down to 4-6 in our locks of the week. Couple weeks left, though, Vince. Actually, more than a couple.
We're good.
We got the playoffs.
We're good.
We have the rest of the regular season. We're talking about over 500. We're about to go on a win streak. Here.
You know it.
Dogs of the week. I am back down to 500 at 5-5, and then Vince is still clearly in the lead at 7-3 with his dogs of the week.
But man, I was 7-1 at one point. I just want to put that out there. I was 7-1, and I was 6-0. Then I was 7-1. Now I'm 7-3. I'm gonna need a bounce back.
Well, buddy,
a bounce back.
Penn State was the number 2 team in the country at one point. It could be worse.
Fair.
It could be fair. Worse. Oh, man. Well, part 2 of today's show. We got the countdown. We're going through 4 games. And the first one, Vince, game number 1, is the number 9 Vanderbilt Commodores, a.k.a. the Fighting Clark Lees, on the road against number 20 Texas, the Longhorns, in a game where, despite there being an 11-spot difference in the rankings, Texas is favored by 2.5. Obviously, Texas is on the money line. Odds are at -154. The over-under for this game is at 46.5. Pretty interesting to see the Longhorns favored in this one, I think.
Well, and I was a little bit surprised about that as well, considering Vanderbilt has been favored the last 2 weeks in big games against Mizzou and against LSU. And they were favored in both of those games, and they lived up to it and won outright, money line. And I know they're going on the road and those other games were at home. And so obviously that means something. And for the novice bettors out there, you generally get about 3 points when you are the home team. And so basically this is a pick'em game. I never thought I would say that Vanderbilt and Texas is a pick'em game, but Vanderbilt is also the number 9 team in the country. So, Texas is 1 loss away from being completely irrelevant in the 25 season. So this is going to be an interesting game. I have zero faith in Texas, and I'm not really sure what Vanderbilt's going to do on the road, which is why it makes this game that much more intriguing.
Very, very interesting. It's also made some of the player props for this game.
Yes.
All the more interesting. We got 2 of them in here. One of them I'm taking just purely because of the odds. Quarterback Diego Pavia for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Anytime touchdown. Love the odds on this one. Plus 120. I think this has the makings of a sloppy game. Texas's offense has been bad. Their defense, though, however, has been pretty good. You need a playmaker like Diego Pavia at quarterback, and he has scored more times than not on the ground so far this season. Passing has not really been his strong suit.
Yeah.
It just flat out hasn't. I think so far on the year, it looks good. He has 15 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, but he only has 2 touchdown passes in his last 3 games. He has more rushing touchdowns in his last 3 games than he does passing touchdowns. So I like Diego Pavia getting into the end zone here with his legs. First player prop down. Second one, I do think at some point they will have to throw. I don't think that he's going to go for anywhere close to 200 yards in this one, especially given Texas's defense. But his go-to target on offense all year has been tight end Eli Stowers. I like his over in receiving yards here, over 40.5. He's been over 40 receiving yards in 6 of the 8 games this season. Flat out, Vince, he's just the go-to target in this offense.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that his overall numbers aren't as high as other quarterbacks, because he's going to his tight end a lot, and tight ends aren't generally known for getting big number games, but 40 yards is a very doable situation for the Vanderbilt tight end. So I like it. What are you staying away from?
Yeah, because of Texas's defense, I'm staying away from Diego Pavia rushing yards. Now, I know I just got done talking about how it's going to be a sloppy game, and I think he gets in the end zone. That has nothing to do with rushing yards. I think in both games where CJ Carr had a rushing touchdown, he finished with negative rushing yards. I think. I know that for a fact against USC. I'd have to go back and look against Miami. But look, Texas has the number 3 rush defense in the country in yards allowed per game, and the number 2 rushing defense in yards per carry allowed. Diego Pavia is a playmaker with his legs, but especially considering sacks also count against rushing yards in college, I'm not touching Diego Pavia's rushing yards.
Yeah, that's the key right there, that sacks count against your rushing yards. And so 47.5 is actually a lot for a quarterback. That's just screaming to take the under. So it's one I would stay away from as well, because you just never know. He could also get loose and scramble for a 60-yard touchdown, so that is just one I wouldn't touch either. Game number 2, we got the number 1 Ohio State Bucknuts against Penn State. They are on the road in Happy Valley, so nobody from Penn State gets to complain about traveling. And we've got a spread here of Ohio State favored by 20.5 points. Did anybody see that one coming, by the way, in the preseason? Because there was an awful lot of people that were really looking forward to this top 5 matchup, by the way, between Ohio State and Penn State. And oh, how things have changed in 8 weeks of college football, or 9 weeks, this is week 10. So in 10 weeks of college football, oh, how things have changed. So 20.5 points is the spread. The money line is obviously Ohio State. It is a minus 1,600. Not one that you want to touch there. And the over-under is set at 44.5, which seems a little low to me. What do you think?
To a degree, I understand why it's set that way. Ohio State's defense has only allowed one opponent to score in double digits. Okay. I don't really know if Penn State's offense is going to be the second team that has that happen, especially.
Drew Aller is special. What are you talking about?
Well, Drew Aller is special. He's also out for the year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I just wanted to throw shade at Drew Aller, and I forgot he was out for the year.
That's fair. To be fair. No, hey, look, bro, to be fair, even if he wasn't, I don't know if they're scoring double-digit points against his defense. Exactly. If there's one thing about Ohio State's team, their defense is legit. Definitely legit. But I'll stay away from the spread conversation because that may or may not come up. later on in the
Okay.
show.
Hint, hint.
Yeah, might throw a little curveball at the end here for you, Vince. But
Oh, I love those.
no, I know, man. I know. Well, 2 player props that we're going to be talking about. First one, Katron Allen over 49.5 rushing yards. Look, Ohio State's defense is really, really, really good. It is certified legit. I think that there's some questions about their offense still. I think that's not to say that they're good or bad. I just don't know if they're elite yet. I think their offense is good, has some room to grow. Their defense is certified elite. With that being said, Katron Allen is quite literally the only thing that Penn State has in terms of offense. It's him. It's not Nicholas Singleton. It's not Trevor Pena. It's not Luke Reynolds. It's Katron Allen. And I think that they're just going to feed him this game. I really do. So I like his over 49.5 rushing yards. The second one, we're flirting with the unders here.
Oh, I love this.
I like Julian Sain under 253.5 passing yards. So with all the jokes about Penn State, and they are legitimate jokes, but with all the jokes, the fact that they haven't beaten a Power 4 team yet, they still haven't allowed a 250-yard passer against any P4 opponent they faced. And then you look at the flip side of the coin, and you look at the Power 4 teams that Ohio State has faced. Julian Sain won for $126 against Texas, 208 against Washington, and 166 against Illinois. You could argue that Penn State has the best pass defense of the 4. Could argue. I'm not saying that they are emphatically. Texas has a good defense. Their secondary is questionable. Washington they had on the road. Then obviously I don't think that much of Illinois' defense. But you could argue that Penn State has the best passing defense of the 4. I would take Julian Sain's under passing yards here.
I absolutely love that pick. Look, he's the quarterback of the number 1 team in the country. Obviously there's something to be said for that. I'm just still not in love with Julian Sain. So I have not seen him do it against the big boys just yet. Not saying that Penn State is a big boy, but they do have a really good defense. They do have a big boy defense. And so he's going to have to show me at this point. So I think that's a really good one to take. What are you staying away from? Hint, hint.
I know it's tempting, but I'm staying away from Ohio State minus 20.5. I understand why the spread is the way that it is. Like I've joked about so many times before, Penn State has yet to beat a Power 4 opponent, and Ohio State has only allowed one team to score in the double digits. But with that being said, this has not been a 3-touchdown game since 2015. Like, look, at the end of the day, I understand that Penn State is kind of one of the laughingstocks of college football right now. I get it. They are still a talented team. Like, they do still have Denai Dennis Sutton and Zane Durant and Rojas at linebacker and a couple of the pieces from their secondary. They do still have all of their offensive linemen. They do still have Trevor Pena and Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. I'm staying away from it because would it surprise me if it happened? No, absolutely not. But even in 2020, when Penn State was not good, and in 2021, when Penn State was not good, it was not. It was never a 3-touchdown.
It wasn't
game,
a 20.5 point game. Yeah.
Nope. So I'm staying away from that, Vince.
I love it. Let's jump into game number 3. Number 18, Oklahoma on the road against the number 14 Tennessee Volunteers. This one feels like a bit of an elimination game in the SEC. And so here we go. Tennessee favored by 2.5. Again, they're the home team and they're favored by 2.5. So what does that tell you? The money line is Tennessee at minus 134. So that's not a bad take right there. The over under at 55.5. Your thoughts on the big 3?
I will hold off my conversations around the over under until a little bit later. Now,
fair enough.
Yeah, Tennessee at home. Like, I think it was a couple of years ago, they did like Spooky Top. You know how they always do Rocky Top, but it was like a night game. They came out in like black jerseys and stuff. I mean, it's Halloween weekend, so I understand why Tennessee's favored on the money line. But jokes aside, I just don't like this Oklahoma offense. Like, their defense is legitimate. Their offense is just flat out not good. We saw that last week against Ole Miss. I like some of these lines here, Vince. Tennessee minus 2.5 kind of looks real juicy to me. It's not in the prop conversation. I don't know if I'm emphatic about it, but I do like Tennessee minus 2.5 here.
Okay. Liking the Vols.
Good word. Love it. Well, 2 player props that we're talking about here. This one makes me a little nervous. I'll just say that right out. But sometimes you kind of have to look at the numbers, and numbers don't lie. John Mateer's over-under rushing yards is set at 34.5. I like his under here for a couple of different reasons. Look, Tennessee's defense this season has been the weak point of their team in comparison to their offense, but John Mateer hasn't gone over 34 rushing yards since September 13th against Temple, even though he's a dual threat quarterback. And look, ever since he came back from his hand injury, they've been very, very reserved about letting him run around and be a playmaker and run with the football. And again, like we always talk about in college, sacks go against rushing yards. So I like John Mateer's under here in rushing yards. Wow, gosh, we're actually going 2 unders here in this game.
I love it.
We're going with 2 unders. Second one, Joey Aguilar under 268.5 passing yards. Now, for as bad as Oklahoma's offense is, I think their defense makes up for it a little bit. Look, I just got done talking about how bad their offense is. They're the number 18 team in the country. Oklahoma's defense has held 2 of their last 3 passers to under 170 passing yards. Trinidad Chambliss, however, went for 315 passing yards against his defense last week at home in Norman. I think that's not going to sit well with Brent Venables, who's a defensive-minded head coach. And I also think Ole Miss's offense is better than Tennessee's. I said what I said. So I'm taking Joey Aguilar's under here. I think he's going to have to make a little plays with his legs as well. But I like Joey Aguilar's under in passing yards.
All right. What are you staying away from here?
I'm not touching the over-under. Tennessee's offense is the strength of their team. Oklahoma's defense is the strength of their team. Then on the flip side of that coin, the Sooners' offense is not good, and the Volunteers' defense is suspect at times. So this is a conversation, Vince, of, okay, what takes the day? Is Oklahoma's offense going to look good against a suspect defense, or is Oklahoma's defense going to be able to hold serve? But all of that are just bad ingredients for an over-under set anything really higher than like 51. And so I'm not touching this one because I could see it going either way.
Yeah, no, I get that one for sure. Our final game that we are going to talk about, number 8, Georgia Tech. Yes, number 8, Georgia Tech at NC State. The big 3, Georgia Tech favored by 5.5 on the road against NC State. The money line, obviously, Georgia Tech, minus 215. It's okay. The over-under, I think this is the highest one that we have so far tonight, 58.5. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Georgia Tech's legit, man. I mean, they win ugly, they win big, they find different ways to win. And NC State, look, I have respect for every opponent that Notre Dame plays. Fact of the matter is NC State is 1-4 in their last 5 games, with that only win coming against the Campbell Camels.
Yeah, I feel like Notre Dame broke NC State, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think so too. So really, I mean, if you're putting Georgia Tech inside of a longer parlay, I like those odds at minus 215. If you're just going to bet it straight up, I wouldn't touch it at minus 215. That's just me personally, unless you have a lot of cash to throw around, and then I guess you could if you wanted to. I probably won't. I mean, what would that even? What would that even be at?
It's not great.
Minus 220. All right, Vince. Like I said last time, you and I go halvesies here, $5,000 a piece.
Okay.
We'll bet $10,000 on Georgia Tech's money line, and then we'll win math like $2,300 after fronting $5,000.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll put a pin in it. Maybe we'll come back to that one if we're feeling bored on.
Feeling rich apparently because I definitely don't have $5,000 laying around. I'm just saying.
No.
All right, so we got 2 player props that we're looking at here. Haynes King, man, is flying about as under the radar as you possibly can to be a quarterback of a top 10 team. But I know you've got a Haynes King prop here as well.
Yeah, I sure do. Haynes King is a warrior. Before we dive into the player props, man, this guy is a dude. I mean, he is a certified dude.
And nobody's talking about him. Am I wrong about this? Like, I don't ever hear his name being bantied about.
To give him credit, because I can't take this for credit of my own, one of my buddies, his name is Chris Franklin, and he has loved Haynes King ever since him and I played NCAA 25, and he got Georgia Tech in a random dynasty spin.
Okay.
And Haynes King was his quarterback. That's when he learned about him, but he's been on the Haynes King hype train ever since, and I respect it. But that also kind of helped feed into my first player prop. I like Haynes King for 2 touchdowns in this game. His anytime touchdown prop is just flat out not worth it. The last time I looked, it was at minus 285 for an anytime touchdown. I'm not touching that. But Haynes King is their whole offense, and he's found the end zone twice in 3 of the last 4 games. I mean, he's their red zone threat. He's their short yardage guy. He's their Riley Leonard. Essentially, he's their Riley Leonard, but just with a little bit more emphasis in running the football, if I'm being truthful. So first one, I like Haynes King, 2 touchdowns. And then the second one, I like CJ Bailey's alternate passing yards here, 225 yards, and it's minus 148. The Wolfpack, I think, are going to have to throw quite a bit in this one.
Yeah.
Head coach Brent Key for Georgia Tech can't let Hollywood Smothers run wild on this defense. And CJ Bailey has gone over 225 passing yards 5 times in 8 games. And I think that they're going to have to be throwing the ball all over the yard in this one. I like CJ Bailey's alternate passing yards at 225.
All right. What are you staying away from?
Georgia Tech's receiving props. A lot of, for the reason why I talked about Haynes King as a runner. I don't think Georgia Tech has a go-to target in their offense, and their top 2 leading receivers are separated by 16 yards, like on the season. So I wouldn't feel comfortable betting on a Georgia Tech receiver, Vince.
Because you never know, like, whose day it's going to be, basically?
Yep.
Okay, very good.
Yep. And I hesitated calling it like flavor of the week because it's literally just 2.
Right.
It's literally just 2 guys.
Chocolate and vanilla. I mean, you got like 2 flavors.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, flavor of the week.
It's the
You convinced me.
Yeah.
You convinced me.
It's the 2 original flavors, you know?
That's true. I'm more of a strawberry ice cream guy.
Oh, look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you would be different. Touche to you.
Well, Vince,
I love it.
let's get into hopefully what is soon to be our favorite segments of the week, locks of the week and dogs of the week, and we'll start with locks of the week. My first and only lock of the week is USC money line. It's minus 190 on the road against Nebraska, and this is about as straightforward as it gets. USC is the 23rd ranked team in the country. Nebraska is unranked, which doesn't fare well for the Cornhuskers. Nebraska hasn't beaten a ranked opponent since 2016 at home or on the road, literally coming up on a decade of Nebraska going over against ranked opponents, which is not great considering they just re-signed Matt Rule to a 2-year extension, keeping him there until 2032. That is what it is. Different conversation for a different show, perhaps. But I like USC's money line here. I don't think that streak ends. USC is an underrated football team, in my opinion, who also shouldn't be ranked below Michigan.
No,
also
they
a different
beat them.
conversation.
They beat them. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Same record, same conference. USC won 31-13. Michigan's ranked ahead. Make it make sense, but it is what it is. And Nebraska also lost to Michigan 30-27 at home. I know the transitive property doesn't always work like that, but my lock of the week are the Trojans on the road against Nebraska.
It's going to be a nice little gift to Matt Rule after he signs his contract extension to get a loss at home against USC, which I think is very probable at this point. And I was going to ask you, like, is this I'm a Notre Dame fan, I want USC to win bet, or is this USC's a good football team and Nebraska's average at best?
I think USC is a good football team, honestly. Like, I'd be lying if I said that there was nothing about it being a Notre Dame fan hoping USC wins. But, I mean, Nebraska, I have not been high on them for quite some time. I mean, when people talk to me about they got to go play at Nebraska, it's like, yep. And if there's a little number next to their name, whether it's from the AP poll or the CFP poll, they're just going to win. That's what the last almost decade has told us. And look, for as much as I love to give USC some crap, Jeremiah Love had a career rushing day, and they still lost by 10. 10. If any other team gave up 228 rushing yards to a single running back while the quarterback only threw for 130-something passing yards, most teams aren't winning that game by 10. So
Right.
I have respect for USC.
Okay. Very good.
Blech. Okay. Last thing I'm saying.
How'd that feel? How'd that taste coming out? But
I should have just ended it at USC's a good team.
That's all right. I
Blech.
respect you, so that's okay.
Just
All right.
Such a good guy.
My lock of the week, which I need to get back on the winning way as well. My lock of the week, I've learned the hard way. I'm actually going with the Hoosiers, the Hoosiers. I'm going with IU. They're on the road at Maryland. They are favored by 21.5 points.
Okay.
IU's average margin of victory this year, like for every one of their games, is 29 points. Okay. They have winning margins this year of 50, 25, 53, 73, and 47 this year. Okay. They're beating the Terps by 22. It should not be an issue for the Fighting Signettis. And the only thing that gave me pause here is Maryland has lost by a total of 10 points over their last 3 games, but they're 0-3. So there's a chance that Maryland keeps it close here. I'm taking a chance, but I'm betting on Curt Cignetti loving to run up the score at this point because there's still IU doubters out there. And I like have a toe in that group right now. I have a toe over there, but the majority of me is in the believing category, but I have a toe in the non-believers, and Curt Cignetti knows it. And he's like, well, I'm going to run up the score just to prove you wrong. So he is that guy. He is going to run up the score, and I think they win by 22 or more. So I'm taking IU. I'm giving the points against Maryland. That's my lock of the week.
I like that. Knowing your luck, though, IU's going to win by 21, and Curt Cignetti in his post-game interview is going to look into the camera and say, take that, Vince D'Addario.
Seriously, yeah, you're not wrong because he is that petty, and so am I, and I would actually give him a lot of credit for that.
Vince, here's my curveball. Dogs of the week. I actually have 2. I'm only going to count one, the one that I have written down, but I do have 2.
I like
First one, I'll go off the one that I have on our outline. I like Kansas State plus 7.5 against Texas Tech. I do. Earlier today on the IB show, Brian and I sat down and predicted some games. We both predicted Kansas State to get the upset.
Ooh, the money line upset. Okay.
But for this show, for money purposes, I like Kansas State plus 7.5. Kansas State's season hasn't been what most people expected, myself included. They've lost 4 games this season, all within a touchdown. They lost to Iowa State by 3. They lost to Army by 3. They lost to Arizona by 6. And they lost to Baylor by 1. And then Baron Morton, Texas Tech's quarterback, is coming off of an injury, but is he 100%? I think that's a question. And if he does get hurt, the backup quarterback that came in for him is also out for the season, I believe, with an ACL injury. So if Baron Morton's not able to finish this game, they're dipping down into what was the third-string quarterback 2 weeks ago. So, and I'm not hoping for anybody to get hurt. I don't want that to be misconstrued. It's just if Baron Morton's not 100%, that's one bad hit away from a third-string quarterback coming in and having to play. So I like Kansas State as my dog of the week to cover here.
Okay. What's your other one? What's your other one?
My other dog of the week are the Penn State Nittany Lions to cover.
Oh, my goodness.
And not lose by 20.5.
Okay. Wow.
Because for a lot of the reasons that I talked about. Look, do I think they win? Heck no. Absolutely not. But like I said, this hasn't been more than a 3-touchdown game or over a 3-touchdown game win margin for the Buckeyes since 2015. And that has included some bad Penn State teams. A lot of people, I think, remember the Penn State teams, from the last couple of seasons, which I understand, but back in, let's see here, back in like 2020 and 2021. Yeah. In 2020, they went 4-5. In 2021, they went 7-6. In 2018, they went 9-4. And then in 2015, they did go 7-6. They lost in COVID in just a weird year by like 15. I don't think they win. I do think that they cover, though. So Penn State is my second dog of the week.
It's bold, but I like that strategy, Cotton. I like it. I like it. My dog of the week, again, I need to get back on my winning ways. I'm 0-2 over the last 2 weeks, and so I'm counting on the South Carolina Gamecocks plus 12.5 at Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is a good team. No doubt. They're a top 10 team, but many of their games have been one-score games. In fact, 6 of their 7 games this season have been one-score games, okay? So they're winning those games, which is the mark of a good team. You win those one-score games, right? But they are in them a lot. And South Carolina can score. South Carolina's not a bad football team, right? So they can score as long as they're not turning the ball over in key moments. So that's going to be important, obviously. But I think the Gamecocks can stay inside 13. So hopefully things continue with Ole Miss. They have another one-score game, and they're within 12.5. Again, I'm not saying South Carolina is going to win this game, but they could keep it close. And again, they're on the road, so we'll see what happens. But like I said, 6 out of 7 games, Ole Miss has been in a one-score game.
I like that. I like those numbers. Here's to hoping that this is the week that both of our fortunes turn around.
Seriously.
And, because good Lord, please help us out here.
We need it.
Help us out.
Let's go. Come on, betting gods. Here we go.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for Vince and I this week on the spread option. I got to get out of here. I got to start packing to go to Boston. I haven't even done my laundry yet. And my flight takes off in about 15 hours. So,
oh, wow. Look at you. You got an early flight then. Early-ish. Okay.
So that should be a lot of fun. But I'll be out east covering the Notre Dame Boston College game next week. I believe Jesse Stiers is going to be on with me next week because our guy Vince hates us and doesn't want to be with us anymore. So with that being said, we are going to see you guys next week. No, Vince is out of town. You're going to be in
Dallas.
Yeah,
I'm going to be down in Texas for the first time ever, by the way. I've never been to Texas before. So looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun going down there for a conference for school. And so hope to learn a lot. But yeah, I'll be gone for a few days, so I won't be able to do the show. The question is, do I allow Jesse's picks to count for my season totals? I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. I don't know.
Or do we give Jesse the opportunity to do it once and then potentially end batting 1,000 in locks and dogs of the week?
That's a good point.
And then he can just...
That's a good point. He can just walk away a winner.
Just vanish.
Man.
Who knows?
I know.
Who knows?
So we'll have to see. But the show will be back. The show must go on, and it will be back next week at 8 o'clock. So make sure you guys tune in and, of course, like and subscribe and all that fun stuff that you do over on the podcast side and on the YouTube side. We appreciate all of our loyal watchers. You guys are here every week. We appreciate you. Spread the word. Let's get some more peeps in the room.
Love it. Have a great Thursday evening, everybody. Enjoy this weekend of college football. We'll see you guys back here soon on the Spread Option Podcast.